The RMS Titanic, a name synonymous with both grandeur and tragedy, was a marvel of early 20th century engineering. It was a ship that promised not only to be the largest and most luxurious of its time, but also to set new standards in maritime travel. Conceived as the largest and most luxurious ship of its time, the Titanic was built by the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast, Ireland. The construction process was a monumental task, involving thousands of workers and taking over 2 years to complete. The shipyard was a hive of activity, with craftsmen and laborers working tirelessly to bring this ambitious project to life. The White Star Line, the Titanic's owner, envisioned a vessel that would redefine transatlantic travel, offering unparalleled comfort and elegance to its passengers. They aimed to outdo their competitors by creating a ship that was not only fast and reliable, but also the epitome of luxury. The Titanic was to be the crown jewel of their fleet, a symbol of their commitment to excellence. From its inception, the Titanic was designed to impress. The ship's designers and engineers spared no expense in ensuring that every detail was meticulously planned and executed. The blueprints revealed a vessel that was not only massive in scale, but also innovative in its design, incorporating the latest advancements in shipbuilding technology. At a length of 882 feet and a height of 175 feet, it dwarfed any other ship afloat. The Titanic's sheer size was a marvel in itself, and it was often compared to the tallest buildings of the time. It was a floating city, capable of carrying over 2,000 passengers and crew members. Its interiors were a testament to opulence, boasting grand staircases, lavish dining saloons, and a swimming pool, amenities unheard of on other liners. The ship's designers drew inspiration from the finest hotels and palaces, creating spaces that were both elegant and comfortable. Passengers could enjoy a range of luxurious amenities, from fine dining to a fully equipped gymnasium. The Titanic was more than just a mode of transportation, it was a floating palace, a testament to human ambition and ingenuity. It represented the pinnacle of early 20th century engineering and design, a symbol of progress and modernity. The ship was a source of immense pride for those who built it and for the nation that launched it. The ship's maiden voyage was scheduled for April 10, 1912, departing from Southampton, England and bound for New York City. The anticipation was palpable as the Titanic prepared to set sail. Crowds gathered to witness the departure of this magnificent vessel, and passengers boarded with a sense of excitement and adventure. The Titanic was to carry a diverse group of passengers, from wealthy industrialists and socialites to immigrants seeking new beginnings in America. The ship's passenger list read like a who's who of the era, with some of the wealthiest and most influential people of the time on board. Yet it also offered hope and opportunity to those in search of a better life. Excitement surrounding the voyage was palpable, with newspapers hailing the Titanic as practically unsinkable. The ship was touted as the safest vessel ever built, thanks to its advanced safety features and watertight compartments. The public's confidence in the Titanic's invincibility was unwavering, and many believed that it marked the dawn of a new era in maritime travel. Little did anyone know that this journey, intended to mark a new era in maritime history, would instead end in one of the most devastating maritime disasters of all time. The Titanic's tragic fate would forever alter the course of history and leave an indelible mark on the collective consciousness. The Titanic's story, a potent blend of innovation, human ambition, and unforeseen tragedy, continues to captivate and haunt us over a century later. It serves as a poignant reminder of the limits of human ingenuity and the unpredictable nature of the sea. The legacy of the Titanic endures, inspiring countless books, films, and documentaries, and reminding us of the fragility of even our greatest achievements. On April 10, 1912, under a bright spring sky, the Titanic embarked on its maiden voyage. The ship, a marvel of modern engineering and luxury, was the largest and most opulent vessel of its time, capturing the imagination of people around the world. Excitement filled the air as the massive ship, with over 2,200 souls on board, slipped its moorings and slowly steamed out of Southampton Harbor. The crowd, a mix of well-wishers and curious onlookers, waved enthusiastically, their faces filled with awe and anticipation. The crowds cheered, bands played lively tunes, and passengers lined the decks, eager to witness the start of this historic journey. The atmosphere was electric, filled with a sense of adventure and the promise of new beginnings. The first few days of the voyage were uneventful, filled with the routines of shipboard life. Passengers explored the ship, marveled at its grandeur, and settled into a rhythm of relaxation and enjoyment. Passengers settled into their accommodations, dined on gourmet meals, and enjoyed the many amenities the Titanic offered. From the luxurious dining rooms to the elegant lounges, every detail was designed to provide the utmost comfort and sophistication. The ship, seemingly gliding effortlessly across the vast expanse of the Atlantic, lived up to its reputation for luxury and grandeur. The calm seas and clear skies added to the illusion of an idyllic voyage. However, beneath the surface of this opulent journey, subtle hints of trouble began to emerge. The ship's wireless operators, busy with a constant stream of messages, started receiving warnings about icebergs in the area. Wireless operators aboard the Titanic received several ice warnings from other ships in the vicinity. These messages, though frequent, were often overshadowed by the sheer volume of passenger communications and other routine transmissions. These messages, indicating the presence of ice fields in the ship's path, were relayed to the bridge, but were not all given the weight they perhaps deserved. The officers, confident in the ship's capabilities, maintained their course and speed. As the Titanic steamed westward, the temperature dropped and a sense of unease settled over some passengers and crew members. The once warm and inviting decks became chilly, and the mood shifted subtly. The vastness of the ocean, once a source of wonder, now seemed to hold a chilling premonition. The endless expanse of water, dark and mysterious, hinted at the dangers that lay hidden beneath its surface. The stage was set for a fateful encounter that would forever alter the course of history. The Titanic, a symbol of human achievement and ambition, was about to face a test that would reveal the fragility of even the grandest of dreams. The night of April 14, 1912, dawned clear and cold. The Titanic, sailing at near its top speed, cut through the calm waters of the North Atlantic. On the bridge, Captain Edward Smith and his officers maintained a vigilant watch, aware of the ice warnings but confident in their ship's ability to navigate any hazards.
Iceberg right ahead.
The warning was immediately relayed to the bridge, where First Officer Murdoch ordered the ship to turn hard to port and the engines to be reversed. The Titanic, however, was a massive vessel, and its turning radius was limited. Despite the crew's desperate maneuvers, the ship grazed the iceberg along its starboard side with a sickening crunch. The impact, while not a head-on collision, was enough to open several gashes in the Titanic's hull below the waterline. On the upper decks, many passengers felt only a slight shudder or heard a scraping sound. Some dismissed it as nothing unusual, while others, sensing something amiss, stepped out onto the decks to investigate. Down below, however, the situation was far more serious as seawater began to pour into the Titanic's forward compartments. The unsinkable ship had been mortally wounded. Section 4. The unthinkable unfolds, flooding, chaos, and desperation. As seawater rushed into the Titanic's forward compartments, the ship began to list noticeably to starboard.
The severity of the situation became increasingly clear to the crew, and Captain Smith, realizing the gravity of the situation, ordered a distress call to be sent out.
On the upper decks, confusion reigned as passengers, many still unaware of the danger, began to sense that something was wrong. The ship's band played lively tunes in an attempt to maintain calm, while officers moved among the passengers, urging them to don life jackets and assemble on the boat deck.
Below decks, the situation was becoming increasingly desperate. Watertight doors were sealed in a frantic attempt to contain the flooding, but the damage was too extensive.
The Titanic's designer, Thomas Andrews, who was on board, assessed the situation and informed Captain Smith that the ship had only a matter of hours to live. As the night wore on, the Titanic's angle of list increased, and the lifeboats, woefully inadequate for the number of passengers and crew on board, were lowered into the water. A sense of panic and desperation began to grip many, as the realization dawned that not everyone would escape the sinking ship. Section 5. Into the depths, the Titanic's final moments and the aftermath. With the bow sinking lower and lower, the Titanic's stern rose high out of the water, exposing its massive propellers to the night sky. The ship, once a marvel of modern engineering, was now a scene of chaos and despair. The cold Atlantic waters were merciless, and the ship's fate was sealed. The ship's lights flickered and died, plunging the decks into an eerie darkness, punctuated by the desperate screams and cries of those left behind. Passengers and crew alike were thrown into a state of panic, their hopes of rescue dwindling with each passing moment. At 2:20 a.m., the Titanic broke in two, the immense strain proving too much for its structure. The sound of the ship splitting was deafening, a final tragic note in the symphony of disaster. The once proud vessel was now two separate pieces, each doomed to its watery grave. The bow section, still carrying hundreds of souls, sank beneath the waves first, disappearing into the cold, dark depths of the Atlantic. Moments later, the stern, which had briefly righted itself, followed suit, slipping beneath the surface and leaving behind a scene of utter devastation. The unsinkable Titanic, once a symbol of human ambition and technological prowess, was gone, swallowed by the depths of the Atlantic. The ship that had been deemed invincible had met its tragic end, a stark reminder of nature's unforgiving power. In the icy waters around the sinking ship, hundreds of people struggled for survival. The freezing temperatures were unbearable, and the cries of those who had succumbed to the cold echoed through the night. The survivors clung to any piece of debris they could find, their hopes of rescue growing fainter with each passing minute. Clinging to debris or bobbing in life jackets, they endured the freezing temperatures and the cries of those who had succumbed to the cold. The night seemed endless, and the survivors' strength was tested to its limits. Each moment was a battle against the elements, a fight for life in the face of overwhelming odds. The Carpathia, alerted to the Titanic's distress calls, arrived on the scene at dawn. The sight of the rescue ship brought a glimmer of hope to the weary survivors, but for many, it was too late. The Carpathia's crew worked tirelessly to pull survivors from the water, their efforts a beacon of humanity in the midst of tragedy. The rescue ship's crew pulled survivors from the water, but for many, it was too late. The icy waters had claimed countless lives, and the survivors were left to grapple with the enormity of the disaster. The Carpathia's arrival marked the end of one chapter and the beginning of another, as the world began to come to terms with the tragedy. The Carpathia carried the 705 survivors to New York, where news of the disaster sent shockwaves around the world. The survivors, many of them in a state of shock, disembarked to a world forever changed by the events of that fateful night. The sinking of the Titanic had left an indelible mark on history, a tragedy that would be remembered for generations to come. The sinking of the Titanic, a tragedy of unimaginable proportions, would forever be etched in human memory. Memorials were erected, stories were told, and the lessons learned from the disaster would shape the future of maritime safety. The Titanic's legacy, though born of tragedy, would endure as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit.